Okay, such a good question. The short answer to this, well, let me preempt this. Firstly, you have to make sure your intuition is clear, that there's no infiltration. You're only talking to the light. The woman who asked this question already knows how to do that. If you don't know how to do that, I teach that in data, and we're gonna go even deeper in my Healing Academy that I'm launching soon. Stay tuned. It's a year long. It's gonna be so fucking epic. But anyways, you need to make sure you are not talking to DS, there's no infiltration, and you're only talking to your higher self, source, the light, okay? Truth. Beyond that, you need to make sure there's no emotional manipulation, because if you're over about 18% emotional about something, you will literally manipulate the intuitive answer. Intuition is not emotion. Intuition does not include emotion at all. It's very subtle pull or ping or whisper. Okay, so making sure your emotions are very, very low or you're not emotional about it, and that you are talking just to the light, to higher self source. Once those are in check and your intuition is clear, and if you need an intuitive read, hi, I'm Jill. I've been studying intuition healing for 6 years all around the world. What is intuition? It's reading the quantum field. It's reading what's going on beyond the veil of the 3D that's affecting the 3D, whether it's an illness, money issues, issue with health, injury, even dogs as reflectors. So anyways, you can book a session with a trained intuitive, or you can learn how to do it yourself. Once you know how to do it yourself, for this woman, she already does. So the short answer is run. I talked a little bit about this on my free Keys to Liberation event. I'll link it up. So I gave the example to somebody of how DFs work, okay? So if we haven't earned the right for something through source, meaning if we haven't gone through the initiations, if we haven't learned the soul lessons encoded in the trauma, by the way, that's one thing I love helping people with. We're doing that at my retreat. Anyways, if you haven't learned the soul lesson and you receive a manifestation, not always, but often, and when your intuition's like red flag, red flag, red flag, and you know you're not emotional about it and you know how to clear any infiltration, run. Because this is where the DFs come in and use allures. I will give you an example. A couple years ago, I think it was a summer and a half ago, I'm really good at manifesting. I'm like, I want to go boating. Set the intention out there in the quantum field. Amazing. I wasn't in the best place at this point in time, at this day. So a few hours later, got invited boating. Didn't really know this person at all, but I knew some of his friends, and I'm like, yes, I'm in. Let's go boating and not deal with the internal issue and turmoil that's going on right now. Escapism 101. So I went boating, manifested it, right? I intuitively knew it wasn't going to be a good vibe. Didn't listen, disregarded it. I get on this boat. It was literally the worst experience ever. And they didn't dock for 8 hours, I swear. I'm like, can we just get the F off this boat? Everyone was doing drugs. I don't do drugs. People were getting hammered. There was literally orgies going on. I'm like, get me off this yacht now. Another example of this in the positive is I really desired to go boating once. I was in a great emotional state. I was facilitating a shamanic breathwork ceremony that night. And what happened, a few days earlier, I wanted to go boating, but I wasn't emotionally attached to it. And then I got invited, but I couldn't because of the ceremony. And I was totally unattached. I'm like, I got to do the ceremony. I committed to it. It was so powerful. Oh my goodness. And so anyways, they changed the time of the boating literally for me. They're like, no, we want you on the boat. So they changed it to later, went on. It was a vibe. It was so much fun. And we were on that boat for a long time too. And then I came back and it was great. And then the next day I facilitated a client, and shortly later he got into the NHL. Literally, it was from that session, what we shifted in that session. Bonkers. But anywho, do you see the difference? My intuition was like, oh, this doesn't feel good. This energy, it wasn't emotion. It was my emotions were like, let's go. Let's avoid. But my intuition was like, this doesn't feel good. And it was the worst experience. Whereas the other one, I wasn't emotionally attached to it. I desired it, but it felt clean and clear. And then when I got invited boating, I was like, cool, manifested it. but it was cherry on top. And then the timing didn't work. So I was like, okay, cool. Like, still manifested it. And then they changed the time of it. So I could come. It was so fun. But the point is, these DFs will work through your allures. Same thing kind of when people get pulled into certain friendships or certain relationships, and it feels like, it could even feel like a really high. That's a red flag, by the way. If it feels like so euphoric, high highs and low lows, no bueno. That is soul unalignment. And so I've had this experience where it was like euphoric and whatever, and then we would have low lows, and I'm like, what is this? And it's these allures, these DF allures, often a lot of implants as well, dumps, overlays that were put on you when you didn't have energy protection on, or when you were vulnerable, either emotional or, you know, if you were on a substance. Don't really recommend substances. Come to my free masterclass that'll link up. Well, it's already recorded. When I explain what happens to the auric field when you take any substance, whether it's a plant medicine or whether it is alcohol or whether it is, even I had a client and somebody in her life was on morphine in the hospital, and this woman's like, I'm getting attacked, blah, 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 no one will believe me. And it was when she was just coming off the morphine. And so her auric field was so open. She's like, I pins in me. I looked in, I'm like, she has literal rods in her. She had shackles all over her. So anyways, the point is, her energy was open, dispersed, and then all of a sudden these things can come in. Another example of when you get what you want, but your intuition is saying red flag, from my personal life, because this has happened to me so many times, and this is the difference between soul manifestation and ego manifestation. Another example of this is, I had taken a clinical hypnosis training, for many hours, and there was another round of it. It was like $3,333 USD, and I got it gifted to me. And intuitively, here's how sneaky these things are. I was like, the whole time I'm like, something's off, but I didn't know what it was. Later revealed this guy was a sexual predator. He has literally sexually abused over 150 women to this date. Obviously didn't know that at the time. But anyways, was like, okay, manifest it, took the course. And because I took that course, I was in this other circle with a now private mentor of mine who I love so dearly. But I got tricked out of leaving her circle because she knew what was going on deeper levels, because she had been through it. And so I got tricked out through the allure. So instead of being able to uncover the truth sooner, I had to go down a whole experience, a year-long experience of many situations that were infiltrated, until I realized, whoa, what was going on, the pattern, and later ended up signing with this woman to work privately. And, lo and behold, and this has happened to me so many times. It actually happened the other day. Like, one of my mentors, who I know and I verified is like so high frequency, so pure intended, so of the light. I had a fever and I fell asleep, and I started having these negative thoughts about this person. And I was like, what if anyways, they were just not good. And I'm like, okay, so I used a tool and I went in and I cleared all of these distortions out of my field and overlays, anything that wasn't mine, and then went back to like seeing the truth. And I'm like, oh my God, he's so pure intended and so wise. And so these things are so sneaky. The DFs will literally allure you to situations that are like not good for your soul, because your ego wants to feel good, instead of like a soul manifestations. What does my soul really want? What's on soul path? What's the highest timeline? Which, by the way, is always correlated with their deepest traumas and what we're supposed to help people through here or help illuminate, etc. But the DFs want to pull you off course. So they will pull you into situations that will basically pull you off soul path, because they're like hooks of, here's like a gift, or here's this, or, like all the things that our ego loves. And then they will pull you often away from the people who actually know what's up. So this is why, and they'll pull you away from the people that actually know what's going on and are actually meant to help you, like the hero's journey, the mentor. archetype on the hero's journey. They will literally block these people or make them look bad. It has happened to me so many times, and make the ones that are not of the light essentially look good. And the ones that you're like, oh, I need to go to their whatever, that is not a good sign. It's this soul pull of like, oh, they know something. I feel a yes to this. It's more subtle. It's like, I want to study with them, or I really want to like go to their seminar or retreat or whatever. It's not the feeling of, if I don't go, I feel like I'm going to die. The if I don't go, I feel like I'm going to die is not good. I'll give you one more example of this for all y'all that like all the examples, because that is me. And then I have something special at the end, so keep watching. So the last one is, I was at a breathwork ceremony. For those of you who listened to the podcast, I talk about this, where I got all these like implants and hooks and all of these things. This dude worked on me for like 60% of the time, and there was 68 people there. And all of a sudden I'm like, ooh, like I want to go to the Christmas party. Like, what if I was invited to the Christmas party? And I'm like, oh, like I didn't really think he was attractive. Maybe I did. I don't know. But anyways, all of a sudden I'm like attracted to his son, who's like much younger than me, and like all of these things. And then I thought I was in love with this man, and all of it were implants and hooks. And I ended up at that Christmas party. I manifested it. It was during my birthday too. Worst birthday of my life. Like, I didn't know really what was going on at the time, but like, anyways, I won't go into the details, but manifesting from the soul is key. What does your soul want? If there's something that you're like, this is going to make me feel worthy, that's not soul manifestation. You got to heal. That's not good. You got to heal the wound. And when I say not good, I mean there's a trap in there, okay? The second, probably 8th billion thing I've said on this is, and there's so much more to this, guys. This is like a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of what I could talk about and teach on this for eternity. Like, so much. The other really important thing here is that if you are a high conscious being, or if you have a strong soul path, meaning you've lived a lot of lives and you're here to not just like create a good life for yourself, but actually to help people, your light content will be higher. When your light content is higher, you become a target for these things that want to pull you off path, because now you're a threat, that want to make you look at shadow banning. Anyone speaks truth, they get shadow banned. Look like conspiracy theorist. And the biggest one is that they will try and siphon your sexual energy. This is why there is so much sexual distortion in the world. I'm about to post something in the next few days, and it's going to trigger so many people, but I don't care. It's true. And we're here to illuminate truth. So that's how people get free. You have to illuminate the truth to actually free yourself. You have to see the truth, put a light on it, to actually liberate yourself. And to liberate others, you have to help them see the actual truth beyond the distortion. When you speak truth, it triggers people because it triggers the ego. If you ever get triggered, there's a truth there you need to look at. Anyways, beside the point. So I'm curious who wants a free mini intuitive read. Pop it in the chat, and you need to tell me what the issue is or what the challenge is, whether it's a health issue, something that's going on in your 3D reality that you don't like, and what your desired outcome is. And I'll give you a mini read on here.